Hey guys, it's Ethan from Zimmer Labs, and this is Jared's budget Titan Class Graflex. This is, I believe, a Roman Props replica Graflex Flash, and the story behind this one is that Jared contacted me and basically told me he had tried to build a Graflex on his own and basically got to a point where he wasn't sure if he could finish the electrical parts on his own, so he wanted to know if I'd help him finish it for him. I thought it would be worth taking just a couple seconds to show you guys pretty much what Jared did, because he did a really nice job with the parts. Now, for those of you guys who are new to the hobby, you probably are already finding out that it can be pretty challenging to find out, you know, what to buy and who to buy it from, and you know what you really need, what you really want, because there are just so many different versions, especially when you're talking about a Graflex. There's so many versions of a Graflex out there, and there are so many extras and extra parts you can get, and you know, which ones do you need, which ones do you want, which ones are good, which ones aren't, which is overpriced. And this is a really good example of the right parts. So, you know, there are a number of good replica Graflex flashes available. You can get it from the custom saber shop, you can get one from Roman Props, you can get it from 89 Sabers, you can get it from KR Sabers, you can get one from, you know, any number of people. This, I think, like I said, is a Roman Props Graflex flash, and that's my personal favorite. But pretty much any of those that I mentioned are going to be good quality. But the little things is where it's at. So let's start with the clamp card. Some come with them, some don't. This is a sloth furnace clamp card, and you can tell because they usually say right on there, sloth furnace. And also you can tell, even if they don't say it on there, they're usually wider this way than other ones. Like if you have a Corbanth clamp card, they're usually about, you know, 80% as wide. So that's one way to know. But the thing about the sloth furnace clamp cards is that they're really, really well done. They're actually made from PCB materials, and they're built to be as close to screen accurate as possible. So this is, you know, this is a really good choice if you're trying to pick out a clamp card. Next, Jared got some extra parts that you don't always see, and you don't, I mean, a lot of people don't even bother with, but the Wanawanga parts, which is this Graflex clamp cover here. It's just a simple laser cut sheet of metal that covers over the Graflex clamp and removes the word Graflex from here. And while that's not a huge deal, for example, here is a clamp that doesn't have that, and as you can see, there's not a lot of difference, but the word Graflex is gone. But the main thing that I like about this is that the finish is excellent. This is not a great comparison because the finish on this clamp is actually quite good. Usually there are a lot of, you know, imperfections and marks on the finish of the Graflex clamp, especially right here and right here, because of the mold or the process of manufacturing the clamp. It's hard to get the finish to look perfect all the way around. So this part will take care of that. And it's just nice to have a nice smooth finish on this part, because it really does catch the eye. The next part is the bottom of the pommel here. There's just a simple circular plate that Wanawanga makes that covers up the Graflex stamp down here on the bottom. As you can see, this is what you usually see. This just covers it up. And this is nice because, again, it has a nice finish to it, so it looks good. And, you know, it gets rid of the writing. So if you're kind of a perfectionist, you may not want to see writing on your lightsaber. So this is an easy, inexpensive way to do it. But to me, the better aspect is that it gives it a nice polished look. Next up is the brass pins up here. Jerry took the time to weather these, and he got nice screen accurate ones. So these look real, and this makes the Graflex look like it might actually be a vintage Graflex flash. And that's just a little thing, but you know, it really does make a difference. Also the same with the blade plug here. The spring-loaded pin is a nice extra. Most of them don't do this, but that's actually accurate to the original Graflex, and to have that weathered to match the pins looks good. I believe this is the Solos Hold and blade plug, and that's, I think, one of the only companies out there that actually makes a spring-loaded one. Then finally, when I assembled everything, I added the little parts into the cutout windows here. It's just a couple additional contacts, one that goes into here and attaches under the screw, and then one that's just a folded piece of contact metal here, which is where you would have plugged an old school 2-prong plug into the Graflex, you know, back in 1920, if you were using this flash and you needed to connect it to a remote power source instead of having a battery. And a lot of times you just don't see those parts actually in there. Most people just leave those out. And then lastly, I just countersank the flathead screw so it sits nice and flush to the hilt instead of having it stick out. You know, it's just the little things, but if you do all the little things, it makes the hilt look just that much more finished and that much more detailed. And I think this one really came out nicely. So tip my hat to Jared for doing all the right things, getting all the right parts. Kudos. Jared also sent me all the chassis parts and electronics that we would need for the build. So I'll show you guys what we did. Fully removable modular chassis. We start with the blade holder up here, Solos Hold blade holder, which is one of my personal favorites because of the ease of removing the chassis. If you have another blade holder, you may not be able to remove it without taking these pins out, taking this screw out, maybe removing this red button up top. This guy, all you have to do is unscrew the glass eye, so that just makes life that much easier, you know, on the fly. And you don't even have to have a tool, you can just do it with your hands, so that's really nice. He also sent me the Goth Paladin chassis that takes the 26650 battery. So what I wanted to do is build a Titan Class Graflex for him, and in order to do that, all I had to do was get 3 extra parts. So this is the Goth 3 Designs crystal focus adapter, and then a cover part for it, and then this is the Goth 3 Designs Graflex Mentor Bulgin pin connector part. I removed a bit of the material because it's obviously it's not meant for this setup or this build, but it does fit quite nicely. I'll show you guys what I mean. The beauty about this chassis arrangement is that A, removable battery, which is great to have on the fly. B, you can use pretty much any lithium battery you want, provided you have the appropriate adapter. But you could put an 18650 or a 2700 or a 2170 or a 26650 in this chassis as long as you have an adapter sleeve for it. Personally, I like to use these guys. These are 7,000 milliamp hour, 20 amp, super high drain, 26800 batteries. And these things are just, as you can see, they're monstrous. Takes up more than, well, probably half the lightsaber, so it's a huge power source. This is the Bulgin pin connector part that I mentioned. And the beauty of that is that it fits on this crystal focus chassis part perfectly. It's got the same lineup for the threaded rods to go through, and those parts also match up with the Paladin chassis. So you can mount your Bulgin pin connector part here and here, and that gives you a nice, stable, high quality connection for the two halves of the chassis, your upper half, your lower half. And all you have to do is cut off the parts of the chassis that are right around here that kind of stick up, because those are just in the way. So all you do is just trim those off and then you're in good shape. Put your positive contact here, negative contact down here on the bottom, And you now have a fully modular, fully removable battery setup. And all you have to do to open it is loosen 2 nuts down here. But tighten them up like that, and you're good to go. Oops. Tighten them up like that and you're good to go. Like I said, 7,000 milliamp hour battery, which is the first major, plus of the Titan Class Graflex versus the standard Graflex. The next major improvement is the speaker. This guy's got a monster 36mm premium speaker on the bottom, and the amount of audio that this outputs just blows your standard 28mm speaker out of the water. Side by side, there's just no comparison. So those are the 2 main reasons why this is my absolute personal favorite Graflex setup. It doesn't tick off a lot of boxes as far as fancy looks or crystal chambers or anything like that, but what it does do is it gives you the longest lasting, best sounding, brightest blade Graflex that you can get, period. Actually, I should probably turn it on. To turn it on, all you have to do is click the main toggle kill switch here. I opted for a toggle switch just to be fun and to make it match the recharge port as opposed to a standard slide switch. Recharge port's right here, 2.1mm Switchcraft recharge port. And that's it for assembly. It's very simple. Nice light shine through on the glass eye and up front in the emitter. Got a stock Custom Works NeoPixel blade connector with onboard pixels and a custom diffuser screen that I made out of plexiglass down there to diffuse the light. And that sits about 2.5 inches deep in there, so the blade can go in nice and snug. And like I said, this is hella bright. And the audio is killer. Absolutely fantastic, loud audio with this speaker. Second blade in the array is a very, very light blue, more like the color in A New Hope. Love this font. This is just my custom Bespin font. Or Bespin 2 actually. The smooth swing sounds so good. Electricity blade. It's a blue turbine blade. Blue fire blade. is, I think Spitfire is the sound font. Purple blades. Green and white audio flicker blade. So Vader red blade. Nice slow retraction. Standard red Kylo fire blade. A hell of a flash on clash. Blade lockup, not flash on clash, my bad. This bright blue Tron blade. That's the beginning. This opening blade is the Light V2. I think it's a K-Sith font. One of my favorites. It's got such a great power on sound. So that's this guy in a nutshell. Not a whole lot different from prior Titan class builds, but simple. It's a budget build version with no extra bells and whistles beyond a monster battery and a monster speaker and a really bright blade and a nice screen accurate hilt. So Jared, I hope you like it. Everybody else, thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Next up is going to be a video for this puppy, which is the Goth 3 Designs Grandmaster. 95% finished, I would say. Hopefully. Can't say for sure because I haven't actually turned it on yet, but I think it's all finished. Stay tuned, and thank you guys for watching.